Thank you, Rosie. Well, of course, this is the time of year when many of us make resolutions. And yes, the time when many of those promises to ourselves are unfortunately broken. Our next guest is here to keep us on track and give us some good ideas on how resolutions can not only help ourselves, but others as well. Natasha Koifman, president of NKPR and friend of the show, joins us now. Thanks for coming in.
Oh, happy to be here.
So the first one is sort of embracing change, especially when it comes to your inner self.
Yeah, well, that was my big resolution for this year, because I just find sometimes fear can be so debilitating. And embracing change is something that we all need to kind of look at, because you can't progress without change. And we tend to be afraid of it. So I've taken some measures myself to kind of do small steps to embracing the change. So for example, I spent the holidays in New York City and I completely changed up my routine. All new restaurants, even here in Toronto, I take a new route to work. And so that when you have that big change that comes your way, you're a little bit more receptive to it and a bit more open to it. So you can take these baby steps to actually help you embrace major change.
I think the key is to pick a few, not do 10 in this overhaul change, because otherwise it becomes too daunting. And as I mentioned, a lot of people have already broken these promises, right?
100%. Yeah. 100%.
And I want to get to sort of giving back, because we spend a lot of time talking about resolutions when it comes to our health, which are great things, whether it be cutting back on alcohol or smoking, whatever it is. But it's also giving to others. How do we do this? And you don't necessarily have to devote hours to charity.
Yeah,
right?
and I think you don't have to devote hours, and you also don't have to write a check sometimes.
Okay.
Sometimes it's supporting organizations and brands that are actually giving back in a meaningful way.
Okay, so what can we do?
Well, David C is a good example. Canadian company, they have a campaign going on called A Cup of Warmth. And so for every cup that you actually purchase, a cup of tea, they are going to give back to local food shelters across the country as well, to the same amount of the tea that you're purchasing. So that really adds up, and I feel that you can give back in a really small way. And Carly Rae Jepsen is coming into town next week, and she's going to support the campaign, so you get to see one of your idols and have a cup of warmth at the same time.
And one of the other ideas you have, be more creative. That's a good one. It's a good, but how do you put that into place, and how do you measure creativity, I suppose, right?
Well, you hear it online all the time. Everyone's looking for their passion. And how do you find that passion? And I feel some of it is this creative block that we have. So I did this book in my early 20s called The Artist's Way. And it's really quite amazing, because it gives you the ability to create these small steps to actually become more creative. So one thing is to write in a journal. Wake up 30 minutes early and write in a journal and write your morning thoughts.
I know.
No,
it's so hard.
I know. But it's not so much writing anything creative. It's just putting onto paper just those things that sometimes debilitate us from being creative. Another thing is going on a date with yourself. So instead of going on a date with someone, make those create that special time just for yourself. Makes a huge difference, because it gives you that opportunity to sort of open your mind up and and I think that is what it is, because we're blocked all the time with all the things that we have to do. So it gives you that opportunity to be a little bit more open.
Now, speaking of creativity, one of the things that I sort of promised myself last year was to really get good at the guitar. And I got a gift. Guitar for Father's Day.
That's nice.
It was beautiful for my wife and for my kids. And it was one of those things where I've spent a lot of time just really working at that.
That's amazing. And how good are you now?
Well, good is a relative term, it's subjective, but it's one of those things where I had no musical ability whatsoever. So it's a matter of devoting that. So you know what it's like. Just find something, right? You don't have to be great at it, but just find that one thing that you can sort of work on. Because it's a marathon, it's not a 100-meter dash.
It's so true.
Right?
I mean, we go to the gym to try and be more fit, but it's that emotional inner self that I think sometimes we need to work on, and you know, we become better, and we become better for the world.
I want to get to in a couple other points. Show gratitude. This is a nice thing, because you know, it's one of the things I tell myself is you get so caught up with the day-to-day that you sort of lose touch with a lot of people, but you also just have to show gratitude to people around you that help you out, your family, whatever it is.
You do,
right?
but I feel like you need to set reminders for yourself to be able to do that, because I mean, we started the year. I mean, does it not feel that we're halfway through the year, even though we're 5 days into the year? You know, or a few days into the year. So I just feel that you need to make those reminders for yourself. I mean, a couple of years ago, that was one of my resolutions, and I actually tattooed it on my wrist. And it's this constant reminder of be grateful, show gratitude, be appreciative.
Let me ask you though, when it comes to that, do you find it sort of devalues it for a lot of people, that people don't want to put the reminders for themselves? I need that. I think a lot of people do, but a lot of people may not want to do that because it may seem disingenuous. But sometimes anything is better than nothing, right?
I think so. I think we're so bogged down, and because of the internet, we're always so busy that we sometimes don't show gratitude. We often don't tell our friends how much we appreciate them or our family members. And if you make notes for yourself to be able to do that, then I feel that you will do it because it's part of your to-do. It should be part of our to-do, but I just feel like we're really bogged down sometimes with life that we don't.
And finally, you're on track for your resolutions?
I am on track. I really am. Embrace change was my big one because I feel that I'm a creature of habit and I can get stuck, and so I'm doing all these little steps to embrace it for sure.
Good stuff. Natasha Koifman from NKPR, thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you.